What up YouTube? It is Ben with Bearded Spruce here to do a video on the top 5 tips and tricks that I've learned over the last decade of working with wood. Some of these tips will help you not have to drop a bunch of money on a table saw. Others will keep you safe, and some of them will just save you a bunch of headache and time when it comes to measuring and cutting properly and having to sand a bunch of extra material. But first, I wanted to thank you for joining me. A lot of you guys have been awesome subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, commenting, asking questions. Please continue to do so. It helps me out a ton. Another way to help out is actually something that costs you nothing other than shopping on Amazon through the links below. Don't even have to buy something from my videos. You can actually buy anything on Amazon and it will give me a little credit. It costs you nothing. It's through the affiliate links below on all my videos. So feel free to shop through those if you want to support me in doing my videos. Hopefully this video will help you stay safe in your own shop and save you time and money. Let's jump into the video on the top 5 tips and tricks when it comes to use. Tip number 1, when you're cutting plywood, if you're ripping it, it's hard to keep it steady, and most people don't have a table big enough to cut it on, and you don't want to cut it just on the ground because that's a pain. So go get a piece of particle board. See this red piece under here? This one is a 1/2 inch. If you want a little bit thicker, you can do 3/4 inch. Put that on the stands, and then the piece of plywood that you're gonna cut on top of it, and it will support the entire thing since it's the same size. Then the other thing you have to do is make sure that the saw is off and get the blade to go just lower than the piece of plywood that you're cutting. So right now it's too deep because I don't want to cut through the bottom piece. So let's adjust it. So we're gonna go just a little bit deeper than the plywood itself, just like that. And then when you rip it, all right, so as you can see with the depth of the blade that we did, when I ripped it, it cut it perfectly and didn't damage the wood underneath. Number 2, instead of getting a table saw or get one of those crazy jigs from Craig, all you need is a $15 piece of angle iron. This is actually aluminum and it's 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches and 2 clamps, and you can rip whatever size piece that you want, either widthwise or lengthwise. So get an 8-foot piece, so you can rip the entire width, and then when you're going to cut, clamp on one side and clamp on the other side, and I'll show you how to make sure you get a perfect cut every single time. For this trick to work, a few things you need to know. 1, always when you're dealing with a saw of any kind, make sure it's unplugged. What we're gonna do is to cut exactly where we wanna cut, you're gonna measure 1.5 inches from the line that you wanna cut to where the straight edge is gonna be. So from this black line, if you can see it on the camera, and this edge is 1.5 inches. So we're gonna measure 1.5 inches from the line that we're gonna cut and put the straight edge right there. We're gonna cut a 3-inch strip. So what I did is measure 3 inches in and then 1.5 inches from 3 inches. Obviously, the math is 4.5 inches. We marked a spot 4.5 inches on this side and then 4.5 inches on the other side, and then we're gonna get our straight edge, clamp it down right on that hash mark on this side, and then I'm gonna clamp the other side, straight edge clamped on both sides. Make sure our saw is set up correctly for the depth of the plywood, and then we cut. The next tip is invest in some safety equipment. I have these linked in the description below. This is an RZ mask. It has been amazing. Before I invested in a good mask, I was going through so many masks. Every time I would sand or cut, the outside would just get so gross. And these are specially made to be able to replace just the inside. And then they have a carbon filter inside as well. So invest in a good mask, some good safety glasses. These are also a link in the description below. All this stuff is right off of Amazon. So the last safety equipment is ear protection. This is something that I see time and time again people not doing. You want to protect your ears. These are also music buds, so I'll link to these as well. They are awesome. You can completely drown out the world, or you can let sound through if you're, out for a walk or something like that. So make sure to get a good pair of earbuds. Can block out the sound. I listen to a podcast or some music while I work, and it just kind of helps the whole experience. So make sure you get some good safety equipment is tip number 3. Number 4, this one involves a miter saw, or you might hear it called a chop saw. Basically, the technique involves scoring the top of the piece of wood before cutting all the way through it. Instead of just like going for it, you score the top, which helps eliminate any tear of the wood. So I'm going to show that how to do that really quick. Let me grab my safety equipment and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so now that I've done it the correct way with scoring the top, I'm just going to chop right through it and show you the difference. You can see in a few areas it completely tore out the bottom, and it was about the same speed. The difference is scoring the top and just going nice and slow on that first pass really helped. Alright, so tip number 5. This one is, you can do this a few different ways, but my favorite way to make sure if you need a similar length over and over and over again, you can do a stop block, which I'm not going to go over. Typically, I just need 2 boards the same length, and I need to make sure they're identical so that something's a square or exactly the dimensions I need. What I do for this is I take a clamp, and you can see the boards are exactly the same over here, so they match up perfectly. And then I've pre-cut one of the boards the exact length. I line it up, and you basically make sure that when the blade goes down, it doesn't touch the first board. And even if you just get, a hair on the first board, at least they're both the same length. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Now you have the perfect exact length on both of these boards. All right, so that's all we got today. Thanks for joining. If you're still with us, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, as well as smash that like button down below. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys and all of the feedback that I've gotten so far. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.